Welcome to Subramani. Here is a funny question which we were discussing in a class, so I thought I should share it with a larger audience. So the question is very simple. Suppose you have 10 lakhs of your own money to invest, and bank comes and tells you, here I will give you unlimited amount of money, no margin, no interest, right? No margin, no interest. How much will you borrow? Right, and I will give you next 1 year's newspaper. All the news items will be available to you. Obviously, you have to guess the share prices. No share, I mean, I'm not going to tell you 1 year later these would be the winners. Then it is a no-brainer. You should for answering this question. But my question is, I will give you 1 year's newspaper, and you have to decide how much will you borrow. Obviously, the first reaction is for people to say, jump up and say, okay, I will borrow all that I can. So I have 10 lakhs of my own, and I will borrow, say, 50,000 crores or something like that. Remember, it is unending. You can borrow as much as you want. There is no interest, right? So let's say you borrow 50,000 crores. There are 2-3 worries. One, the amount of money that you have can influence the market. So you might end up buying too much of some stocks which you may not be able to sell, because after a year or 2 years, whatever, the loan has to be repaid, right? So first of all, so it can't be infinite. You cannot say, okay, I will borrow over 10 lakh crores or things like that. Your market's ability to absorb that without you fooling around with the prices is very, very remote. And if you pick up mid cap, small cap kind of scripts, you might yourself move the market. So first, it's not easy to invest large amounts of money without moving the market. So first limitation is that. The second limitation is your ability to guess share prices on the basis of headlines given to you is very close to zero. Because if you had told me in March 2020 that the market will hit all-time highs by September 2020 or October 2020, I would have laughed at you. I would have said, no, this is not a time to be leveraging and buying. If I had leverage available in March 2020 to April 2020, would I have used the leverage? Forget how much I would have made money. Of course, I would have made money because the recovery was very quick. Would I have used the leverage? The answer is no. I did not have a leverage position in March 2020. I never have a leverage position. I will never leverage. But here is the interesting question. So how much will you borrow depends on your own ability to think that you can predict share prices. And far more important, what such a huge leverage does is, it can make you bankrupt, right? It can completely bankrupt you, because the bank has given you the money, you're supposed to deal with the money. And what if there is a 30% fall in the value of the shares that you buy, right? So the question is, how much time will it take for you to recover that 30%? Yes, money is borrowed, there is no interest, but the principal has to be repaid, right? So that is the challenge. So it's not easy to say, oh, if I have a lot more money, I can make a lot more money. Theoretically, that is true. But the question is, having a lot more money does not mean you will automatically make a lot more money. The question is, do you have the managerial skills? I very clearly admit that I know at least 10 people who are far superior to me. I would rather give it to them rather than try doing it myself, because my money has to earn money so that I can repay the loan, and I have to remain solvent. So therefore, 2-3 things. One, the amount that I borrow can't be too insanely high. I know SoftBank can lend me insanely high amount of money, but I will not be able to deploy it in the Indian market. And even if I do deploy it, I may create tremors in the market. I may be front running the stock, in the sense that I may be buying too much of that stock, and therefore the price could be going up. That skill is required. That skill I do not have. So all this is going to be factors to consider. Instead of saying, oh, I'll borrow all the money. You may borrow all the money in 3 months or to 4 months. If the money gets wiped out, say 30%, you will never be able to recover that money to be able to repay the loan at the end of 1 or even 2 years, right? So how much you can borrow is not just a function of how much money is available. It's also a function of how intelligently you manage it. So any borrowing more than 30 lakhs, right? So you have 10 lakhs of your own money and 30 lakhs of borrowing. So for 40 lakhs if you invest, Anything more than that is very likely to bankrupt you, because if the market falls by a number greater than that. For example, if you borrowed say $10 million on a 10,000 on 10 lakhs of your own money, let's say 100 crores is what you borrowed, and the market falls 10%, right? Straight away 90 crores is what your corpus is. Now that 90 has to grow enough for you to be able to repay at the end of 1 year. This is without considering interest. Now add interest of 15% to it or 14% to it. Now imagine what happens. Or even worse, assuming interest rate of 8-9% when you borrowed, and now every month the rate of interest is going up. It could completely ruin you. So even in my fictitious case, when there is no interest, the fact that you're over leverage can lead you to bankruptcy. And in cases where you are borrowing and you're investing and the rate of interest is high, which is a real life example, chances are, if you are over leveraged, which means if you borrowed more than 2 times or 3 times your net worth, the chances are you will get wiped out. That is the reason why so many people get wiped out in F&O. It is unlimited amount of debt that they are building into it, or a leverage position that they are building into it. So it's very easy to see why the person writing it makes more money than the person buying the put or the call. Thank you.